Hi, thank you for joining me for Bible study. I really appreciate your participation in this way. So we're going through the book of Joshua. So find Joshua chapter 3 and let's read it. Then Joshua rose early in the morning, and they set out from Acacia Grove and came to the Jordan, he and all the children of Israel, and lodged there before they crossed over. So it was after 3 days that the officers went through the camp, and they commanded the people, saying, When you see the ark of the Lord your God, and the priests, the Levites, bearing it, then you shall set out from your place and go after it. Yet there shall be a space between you and it, about 2,000 cubits by measure. Do not come near it, that you may know the way by which you must go, for you have not passed this way before. And Joshua said to the people, Sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you. Then Joshua spoke to the priests, saying, Take up the ark of the covenant, and cross over before the people. So they took up the ark of the covenant, and went before the people. And the Lord said to Joshua, This day I will begin to exalt you in the sight of all Israel, that they may know that as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. You shall command the priests who bear the ark of the covenant, saying, When you have come to the edge of the water of the Jordan, you shall stand in the Jordan. So Joshua said to the children of Israel, Come here, and hear the words of the Lord your God. And Joshua said, By this you shall know that the living God is among you, and that he will without fail drive out from before you the Canaanites and the Hittites, and the Hivites and the Perizzites, and the Girgashites and the Amorites, and the Jebusites. Behold, the ark of the covenant of the Lord of all the earth is crossing over before you into the Jordan. Now therefore, take for yourselves 12 men from the tribes of Israel, 1 man from every tribe. And it shall come to pass, as soon as the soles of the feet of the priests who bear the ark of the Lord of all the earth, shall rest in the waters of the Jordan, that the waters of the Jordan shall be cut off, the waters that come down from upstream, and they shall stand as a heap. So it was when the people set out from their camp to cross over the Jordan, with the priests bearing the ark of the covenant before the people, as those who bore the ark came to the Jordan, and the feet of the priests who bore the ark dipped in the edge of the water, for the Jordan overflows all its banks during the whole time of harvest, that the waters which came down from upstream stood still, and rose in a heap very far away at Adam, the city that is beside Zaratan. So the waters that went down into the sea of the Arabah, the salt sea, failed, and were cut off. And the people crossed over opposite Jericho. Then the priests who bore the ark of the covenant of the Lord stood firm on dry ground in the midst of the Jordan. And all Israel crossed over on dry ground until all the people had crossed completely over the Jordan. So last week we saw where still the children of Israel are on the east side of the Jordan River, and Joshua sent spies to check out Jericho, and they ran into someone who feared the Lord and wanted to follow the Lord, and that was Rahab. And so Rahab gets them to make a covenant with her, to vow that they will protect her and her family in exchange for her protecting their lives in Jericho. And so she, in response to the fear of the Lord from the Red Sea crossing and what had been done to the armies and the kings of the Canaanites that lived on the east side of the Jordan, she wanted to be on the right side of God. So now the children of Israel, it looks like, are ready to cross the Jordan River. So they come down to the Jordan River, but now it's spring, and all the spring rains and the snow melt. The Jordan is at flood stage. How will they get across? How will they get across such a flood of water? Well, it's not like the Lord hasn't done this before, but it's significant because the Lord is doing it again. This is the 2 times he does it. Once was to get out of Egypt. He brought them across the Red Sea with them walking on dry ground. As he was with Moses, so he will be with Joshua. And so at the Lord's instruction, they come up to the brink of the Jordan River, and the Lord is going to escort them across. And so we're supposed to see that parallel and then see how things are different. So like in the Red Sea crossing, the Lord was represented by the pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. And that Moses' rod caused the waters to part. The Lord this time is represented by what? The Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant goes, and there's a wide margin around the Ark of the Covenant. No one's going to get within a half mile of it, 2,000 cubits. And so everyone can see where the Ark of the Covenant is, where the Lord is. But it's still also, he's got his armies all the way around him to provide his guard, right? Like a king traveling into battle. But yet everyone keeps a safe distance because he is actually holy. The people are to sanctify themselves, and we'll talk more about that next week. But they are to keep a safe distance from the Lord, because the Lord will do wonders. He will perform a miracle tomorrow in getting them across the Jordan River. And so the children of Israel are preparing themselves. They're ready. They come, and they're not getting too close, but they're following the Ark of the Covenant. And it comes to the Jordan River, and with the Lord reassuring Moses, you're the ones calling the shots. Just as I worked through Moses, I'm going to work through you. And the children of Israel, guided by the Lord, represented by the Ark of the Covenant, carried by the priests, and as the priests touch the water with their feet, the water dries up. It's a river at flood stage, and it just dries up. The water is piling up to the north, and they are crossing on dry ground. By this you will know, and this is something else to unpack. By this you will know that the living God is among you. Notice all the different names for the Lord, for God in this. He is the living God, the God of life, who is always alive, and he is the one who gives life. He is not a dead idol. He will never perish. The Ark of the Covenant of the Lord of all the earth. He is the sovereign over all of the earth. It all belongs to him. But he has chosen Canaan, the promised land, for his own people, and to make his dwelling there. And so, sovereign over all the earth, it all belongs to him and his throne in heaven. And then, of course, his personal name, as he revealed himself at Mount Sinai to Moses before he brought the children of Israel to him, and while he was there with the children of Israel at Mount Sinai for a year, revealing himself to them. And so we're to notice all the different names of the Lord that are used here, his descriptions. And I may be overlooking some here as well. But there's that reminder, I'm giving you the promised land. Now there's something kind of peculiar, and we didn't read chapter 4 to get the explanation of it. But this, the 12 men from each tribe, one man from every tribe, they're going to have an important role. And we'll talk about that in just a minute here. And so they come, and the priests are standing in the river, but the river is dried up. There's no water there. And so the children of Israel are able to cross straight across over to Jericho. It's like an invasion force. And it's like, how are they going to get across the river? And all of a sudden, the river's not there anymore, and they just walk across on dry ground. That would be terrifying to the Canaanites. They'd heard of what the Lord did at the Red Sea. Remember, Rahab mentioned it. And they heard what they had done to the kings on the east side of the Jordan River. And now they're on the west side of the Jordan River. And so all this is going on. But there's those 12 guys. And what is their job? Well, I won't read all of Joshua chapter 4 for you, but I want you to look through it there. And the 12 men, each one is commanded to take up as large a stone as they can carry and to bring it out of the river from where those priests are standing with the Ark of the Covenant. And they're to take it with them to where they're going to go camping this night into Gilgal. And they're going to stand those up, and they're going to stand as memorial stones. And they're also going to stand up stones there where the priests are standing to mark that spot. But the ones there where they're going to be camping will be there through history to be a reminder of how the Lord parted the waters one more time so that the children of Israel could cross into the promised land on dry ground. As an army coming in, they are prepared and guided by the Lord, the true God, their God, to give them the promised land. And then we see the significance in that as well, that the Lord, He goes before us. Whatever we face, whatever trial, whatever challenge, it may be overwhelming to us, but the Lord does go with us. He has covenanted with us. And we may not have a box that is called the Ark of the Covenant, but it is the footstool of His throne. Our Lord is with us. David wrote a psalm to remind us of that, right? The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not lack anything. I will not fear, for you are with me, and your rod and your staff, they comfort me. But the Lord goes before us, and it is the Lord who brings us into the promised land. He brings us salvation. And as we talked about last week, that salvation is through Jesus. And who is Jesus named for? Joshua. It's the same name. Each one means salvation or Savior. And so He's the one that brings us forward as His army, that we might be victorious in Him. And He's ultimately the one who's going to bring us into not just where we are now, kind of promised land, but the promised land of our eternal reward. But there's work to be done. And so we need to be reminded of where the Lord has provided victory in the past, so that we'll know He will provide victory in the future. Sometimes He provides victory in miraculous ways. Sometimes it's in very subtle ways. But if we think about it, we'll see that it was of the Lord every time. And so you see where it kind of just sounds like a travel itinerary, but it's pretty amazing with a miracle attached to it, right? But there's lessons in this for us. We need to set up reminders of God's faithfulness, whatever those look like. I have mine. I hope you have yours. Things that remind me, this was a time when the Lord provided. The Lord directed me. I got to share some of those stories over last weekend. And it's always good to be reminded of those. That we look for the Lord's provision and presence and protection. We need those things, and He's doing it. We may feel alone, but we're not. But we need to prepare ourselves for these things. Thank you for joining me for Bible study. Just kind of a simple walkthrough today. But I look forward to more time in the book of Joshua with you. So until then, God bless.